Doyen stood in the main hall of Haven's Gate Station, watching the stars through the massive viewport. He had been working here for 2 years now, helping humans and aliens understand each other better. It was not always easy, but he liked his job. Today should have been a good day. The trade agreement was signed. Everyone was happy. My dear friend Doyen, the clicking voice came from behind him. Veltis approached, his crystalline body reflecting the station lights in rainbow patterns. The Quilmari merchant moved on 6 legs, each step making a soft tapping sound on the metal floor. Today is a great day for both our peoples. Doyen smiled and bowed slightly. He had learned that Veltis appreciated human gestures of respect. It is, Veltis. The trade routes will help many colonies get supplies they need. Yes, yes. Veltis's mandibles clicked with excitement. And because of this success, I must honor our friendship properly. In my culture, when great things are achieved together, gifts must be given. I have brought you something very special. Doyen felt a small worry in his chest. Quilmari gifts could be strange. Last time, Veltis had given him a living crystal that sang at midnight. It was beautiful but very loud. You did not have to do that, Veltis. Your friendship is enough. Nonsense. A gift has already been prepared. Come, come. Veltis turned toward the docking area, waving 2 of his upper limbs for Doyen to follow. They walked through the station corridors. Other humans and aliens moved past them, busy with their work. Haven's Gate was always crowded. It sat at the edge of human space where many different species came to trade and talk. Doyen had met beings from dozens of worlds here. Veltis led him to a private docking bay. 2 other Quilmari stood guard outside a cargo container. When they saw Veltis, they moved aside and opened the door. Inside the container, sitting on the cold floor, was a human woman. She wore only a thin piece of rough gray fabric that barely covered her body. Her black hair was dirty and tangled. Her arms were wrapped around her knees, and she did not look up when the door opened. Metal bands circled her wrists and ankles. Even from the doorway, Doyen could see she was too thin. His stomach dropped. Veltis, what is this? Your gift. Veltis sounded proud. A personal servant. She is human like you, so there will be no communication problems. I paid a very good price for her. She is young and healthy and has been trained to obey. In my culture, giving a servant to a friend shows great respect and trust. Doyen's mind raced. He wanted to shout, to refuse, to demand Veltis take her back immediately. But he knew alien customs could be complicated. If he insulted Veltis now, it might damage not just their friendship but the entire trade agreement. Hundreds of colonies depended on that agreement. He took a slow breath. May I speak with her? Of course. She is yours now. Do as you wish. Veltis stepped back, giving Doyen space to enter the container. Doyen walked slowly toward the woman. He kept his hands visible and his movements gentle. When he got close, he knelt down so he would not tower over her. Hello, he said softly. My name is Doyen. What is your name? The woman flinched. She looked up with dark, empty eyes. Her face might have been pretty once, but now it only showed exhaustion and fear. This one is called Mireille, Master. Her voice was flat, emotionless. The word Master made Doyen feel sick. Mireille is a good name. Where are you from? This one came from New Jeju Colony, Master. 3 years ago. 3 years. 3 years of whatever hell had brought her here, to a cargo container being given away like property. Doyen felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Mireille, I need you to understand something. I am not your master. You are free. She stared at him. No emotion crossed her face. Yes, master. This one understands. No, I mean it. You are free. You do not have to serve me or anyone else. Mireille said nothing. She just looked at him with those dead eyes, waiting for what would happen next. Doyen stood up and walked back to Veltis. He chose his words carefully. Thank you for this generous gift, Veltis. In my culture, when we receive something so valuable, we must perform certain rituals. I will need time to do this properly. May I take her to my quarters? Of course, of course. Veltis seemed delighted. I am glad you appreciate the value of this gift. She cost me a great deal, but you are worth it, my friend. I must go now to prepare my ship for departure. We will meet again soon. The Quilmari merchant left, his guards following behind him. Doyen stood alone with Mireille, who had not moved from her spot on the floor. Mireille, he said gently, please stand up. We are going to go somewhere more comfortable. She stood immediately, keeping her eyes down. The metal bands on her wrists and ankles had strange locks that Doyen did not recognize. He would need to find someone to remove them safely. They walked through the station together. People stared. Some looked away quickly. Doyen realized that slavery was not illegal everywhere in the galaxy, but most humans found it disgusting. He needed to get her somewhere private quickly. His quarters were small but clean. One main room with a bed, a desk, a small kitchen area, and a bathroom. When they entered, Mirai walked to the corner and stood there waiting. "You can sit on the bed," Doyen said. "Or the chair. Anywhere you want. Where does Master want this one to sit? I want you to choose." Mirai's face showed the first crack in her empty expression. Confusion. Fear. She looked at the bed, then the chair, then back at Doyen. Her hands started shaking. This one does not understand. Doyen's heart ached. What had they done to her? How long had it been since she was allowed to make even the smallest choice? "It is okay," he said softly. "You can sit on the bed, rest. I am going to get help." She moved to the bed like a robot, sitting on the very edge, her back straight, hands folded in her lap. Doyen went to his desk and activated his communication terminal. He needed to call someone who understood trauma, who could help. But first, he needed to make sure Mirai was safe. He looked back at her, sitting perfectly still in the corner of his room. She did not believe him about being free. He could see it in every tense muscle, every careful movement. She thought this was a trick or a test. Maybe she had been told she was free before, only to be punished for believing it. Doyen had saved her from being given to someone else, but he had not freed her. Not really. Freedom was not just words. It was something she would have to learn to believe in again, piece by piece, and he had no idea where to start. 3 days had passed since Veltis left the station. 3 days of Mirai standing in corners asking permission to breathe and flinching whenever Doyen moved too quickly. She would not eat unless he told her to. She would not sleep unless ordered. Every moment in her presence broke his heart a little more. Dr. Yuna had visited on the first day. She was a kind woman who worked in the station's medical center. She had experience with trauma cases. She removed the metal bands from Mirai's wrists and ankles with careful hands, talking softly the whole time. She checked Mirai's health and gave Doyen advice. "She has been conditioned," Dr. Yuna explained quietly, while Mirai sat in the bathroom with the door closed. "Probably through punishment and reward over a long period. Breaking that conditioning takes time. Do not expect her to suddenly act free just because you told her she is. Her mind has built walls to survive. Those walls kept her alive. She will not tear them down easily." "What should I do?" Doyen asked. "Be patient. Be consistent. Let her make small choices. Do not punish her for anything, even mistakes. Eventually she might start to believe she is safe." Small choices. Doyen had been trying. Did she want water or juice? Did she want to sit or stand? Every question made her freeze with panic. Yesterday, she had started crying when he asked if she preferred rice or noodles for dinner. Silent tears down her face, her whole body shaking, until finally she whispered, "Whatever Master wishes." He had made rice. She ate it without tasting. Now Doyen sat at his desk, reading reports about New Jeju colony. It had been a small settlement, only 500 people. They tried to farm on a difficult world at the edge of explored space. 3 years ago, pirates attacked. They took everything valuable, including people. Mirai had been one of them. She was 22 years old now, which meant she had been 19 when they took her. Barely an adult. The file said 30 people were taken from New Jeju. Only 5 had been found. Mirai was the 6th. "Master?" Her voice was so quiet he almost missed it. Doyen turned. Mirai stood near the wall, her eyes down as always. She wore the same gray rag. He had tried to give her some of his clothes, but they were too big, and she seemed more comfortable in what she knew. "Yes, Mirai?" "This one needs. May this one use the bathroom?" She was asking permission to use the bathroom, in his own quarters, where she had been staying for 3 days. Doyen wanted to scream. Not at her, at the universe, at whoever had taught her that her most basic needs required approval from someone else. Instead, he kept his voice gentle. "Mirai, you never need to ask permission for that. The bathroom is yours to use whenever you want, do you understand?" "Yes, Master." She hurried to the bathroom. When she came out, Doyen stood up. Mirai, we are going out today. Fear flashed across her face, quickly hidden. Yes, Master. Where does Master wish to go? To the market sector. You need clothes. She looked down at her gray rag. This one has clothing, Master. You need better clothing. Real clothing. We are going to get you things that fit and are comfortable. The market sector was busy. Ships came to Haven's Gate from hundreds of worlds, and the market sold everything: food, tools, technology, art, and yes, clothing. Doyen led Mirai through the crowds. She walked 2 steps behind him, her eyes on the ground. People stared. Some recognized Doyen from his work. They saw the thin woman following him in rags and looked away with uncomfortable expressions. They reached a clothing store run by a human woman. The sign said Jiwon's Fashion. Inside, racks of clothes filled the space with colors and textures. Music played softly. It smelled clean and fresh. Jiwon stood behind the counter. She was older than Doyun, maybe 40, with short gray hair and warm eyes. She looked up when they entered, and her expression immediately changed when she saw Mirai. Hello, she said carefully. How can I help you today? My friend needs clothes, Doyun said. He refused to call Mirai anything that suggested ownership. Several sets, comfortable and practical. Jiwon's eyes moved to Mirai's wrists where the metal bands had left marks, to the way Mirai would not look up, to how thin she was. Understanding crossed her face. Of course. Let me show you what we have. She came around the counter and approached Mirai slowly. Hello, dear. My name is Jiwon. What is your name? Mirai glanced at Doyun, waiting for permission to speak. You can answer her, Doyun said softly. You can talk to anyone you want. This one is Mirai. She said it so quietly that Jiwon had to lean closer to hear. Mirai is a beautiful name. Would you like to look at some clothes with me? Mirai nodded, a tiny movement. Jiwon led them to a section with simple, comfortable clothing. Shirts, pants, dresses, and soft fabrics. Nothing too bright or complicated. She pulled out a few items. What do you think of these? Mirai stared at the clothes like they were puzzles she could not solve. Her breathing got faster. Her hands started shaking. This one does not know. This one cannot choose. Master must choose. Doyen is not your master, Jiwon said gently but firmly. And you can choose. There is no wrong answer. Look. She held up a simple blue shirt. This is soft cotton. Feel it. Mirai did not move. Jiwon took Mirai's hand carefully and placed it on the fabric. Feel how soft it is? That means it will be comfortable. Mirai touched the shirt. Something changed in her eyes. Just a flicker. Her fingers pressed into the fabric. Soft, she whispered. Yes? Do you like it? The question seemed to break something inside Mirai. Tears started falling. She pulled her hand back and wrapped her arms around herself. This one is sorry. This one is sorry. This one does not know how to choose. Please do not punish this one. Doyen started to move forward, but Jiwon held up a hand, stopping him. She spoke to Mirai in a voice that was both kind and strong. Nobody is going to punish you. You are safe here. Choosing is scary when you have not done it in a long time. That is okay. Let me help you. I am going to pick out some clothes that I think will fit you and be comfortable. You do not have to choose today. You can just take what I give you. Is that okay? Mirai nodded, still crying silently. Jiwon moved quickly through the racks. She picked out simple clothes in neutral colors. Comfortable pants, soft shirts, underwear, socks, a light jacket. She found a bag and put everything inside. These are yours now, Mirai. Nobody can take them away from you. At the counter, Doyen paid. Jiwon leaned close and whispered, Bring her back in a few days. Let her watch you choose things for yourself. Let her see how choosing works. Eventually, she might try. Thank you, Doyen said. Really? I know what it looks like when someone has been broken, Jiwon said quietly. I know because I was broken once too. It gets better. Tell her that for me. It gets better. They walked back to Doyen's quarters. Mireille carried the bag like it was made of glass. When they got inside, she stood there holding it, not knowing what to do next. "Those are your clothes," Doyen said. "You can change into them now if you want. The bathroom is private. I will not look." Mireille went into the bathroom. She stayed there for a long time. When she came out, she wore the blue shirt and dark pants. They fit well. Her hair was still messy, but she looked more human somehow. More real. She walked to the small mirror on the wall and stopped. She stared at her reflection. Her hand came up slowly, touching the soft fabric of her shirt, touching her own face. "Why are you doing this?" The question came out broken and confused. It was the first time she had asked him anything that was not about permission or orders. Doyen thought about how to answer. He settled on the truth. "Because you are a person, Mireille. You are not property. You deserve to choose your own clothes. You deserve to make your own decisions. You deserve to be free." She turned to look at him. For the first time, there was something in her eyes besides fear or emptiness. It was doubt, maybe, or the tiniest seed of hope. "This one does not know how to be free," she said. "I know," Doyen replied, "but we will learn together." 5 weeks had passed. Mireille still called him master, but less often now. She still asked permission for things, but sometimes she would catch herself and stop. Progress was slow, like watching ice melt one drop at a time, but it was progress. Doyen sat in his office reviewing reports when his terminal chimed. A message from Veltis. His Quilmari friend was returning to Haven's Gate in 2 days for another trade meeting. He wanted to have dinner with Doyen and see how the gift was working out. Doyen's stomach tightened. He knew this conversation would come eventually. Veltis would not understand what Doyen had done. In Quilmari culture, slaves were valuable property. They were treated well, kept healthy, given good food and shelter, but they were never freed. Freeing a slave made no sense to them. It would be like throwing away an expensive tool because you felt sorry for it, but Veltis was his friend. A real friend despite their differences. They had spent hours talking about their worlds, their beliefs, their hopes. Veltis had taught Doyen about Quilmari history. Doyen had explained human art and music. They understood each other most of the time. This would test that understanding. That evening, Doyen came home to find Mireille in the kitchen area. She was making tea. She had learned where everything was kept, and had started doing small tasks without being asked. Dr. Yuna said this was good as long as Doyen made it clear she did not have to do these things. "Mireille, can we talk?" She turned and he saw the old fear flash across her face. She still expected bad news whenever someone wanted to talk. "Yes, Master." "What does Master need?" "Veltis is coming back in 2 days. He wants to have dinner and see how you are doing." Mireille went very still. The cup in her hand started shaking. "Will he take this one back?" "No, I will not let that happen." "What if he wants to? What if Master changed his mind about keeping this one?" Doyen walked closer but kept enough distance that she would not feel trapped. "Mireille, I am not keeping you. You are not mine to keep. You are free. Remember? But Quilmari law says, I do not care what Quilmari law says. You are human. You deserve human rights. Nobody owns you." Mireille set down the cup before she dropped it. Her hands twisted together. This one is afraid. It was the first time she had admitted being afraid. The first time she had named her own feeling without being asked. "I know," Doyen said softly, "but I promise you are safe. Veltis will not take you. I will make sure of that." She looked at him for a long moment. "Why does Master trust the alien?" "He bought this one. He believes in slavery. He does. But he is not evil. He grew up in a culture where slavery is normal. He thinks he did something good by giving you to someone who would treat you well. He is wrong, but he meant well. Can someone mean well and still do terrible things?" It was a hard question. An important question. Doyen thought about how to answer. "Yes, people can be good and still be wrong. Veltis is my friend, but that does not mean I agree with everything he believes. I can care about him and still fight against his culture's treatment of people like you." Mireille absorbed this. "What will you tell him?" "The truth. That you are not my slave. That you are learning to be free. That what he did was kind in his mind, but wrong by human values. He will be angry? Maybe. Probably. But he is my friend. Real friends can disagree and still care about each other." 2 days later, Veltis arrived. Doyen met him at the docking bay alone. The Quilmari merchant looked happy, his crystalline body shining with health. My friend, it is so good to see you. Velthus clicked his mandibles in greeting. It is good to see you too, Velthus. How was your journey? Profitable. The trade routes are working well. Our peoples are both benefiting. But tell me, how is your gift? Is she serving you well? I have been curious. Here it was. The moment of truth. Velthus, let us go somewhere private to talk. I have something important to discuss with you. They went to a small conference room. Velthus settled his body on the floor. His species did not use chairs. Doyen sat across from him. Velthus, you are my friend. I value our friendship deeply. But I need to tell you something that might upset you. The Quilmari's body language shifted. Concern. What has happened? Is the girl damaged? I can get you a replacement. No, she is not damaged. And I do not want a replacement. Velthus, I freed her. Silence. Long and heavy. I do not understand, Velthus said finally. What do you mean you freed her? I mean she is not my slave. She is not my property. She lives with me, but she is free to leave whenever she wants. She is learning to make her own choices and live her own life. But why? Velthus sounded genuinely confused. She was expensive. She was trained. I gave her to you as an honor. Why would you throw away such a valuable gift? Doyen chose his words carefully. In human culture, we believe that people cannot be owned. Every human has the right to control their own life. Slavery is considered one of the worst things you can do to someone. When you gave Mirai to me, I knew you meant it as a kindness. You thought you were giving me something valuable. But to me, it was like being given stolen goods. I could not keep her as a slave without betraying everything I believe. Velthus's mandibles clicked rapidly. It was a sign of deep thought. But she is being cared for, yes? You are treating her well? I am helping her heal. She was hurt badly, Velthus. Not just her body, her mind, her spirit. She forgot how to be a person instead of property. Teaching her to be free again is hard work. This makes no sense to me. Velthus moved his upper limbs in agitation. In my culture, slaves are valuable. We keep them safe, feed them well, make sure they are healthy. It is a good system. They are protected, but they are not free. Freedom is not important. Safety is important. Purpose is important. Your Mirai had both as a slave. Now what does she have? A chance, Doyen said. A chance to discover who she is. A chance to make her own mistakes and her own successes. A chance to live a life that belongs to her. Velthus was quiet for a long time. His crystalline body reflected the lights, making patterns on the walls. I do not understand this, my friend. But I see that it matters to you. I see that you believe it is right. I do. Among my people, what you did would be seen as wasteful, foolish. But I am learning that humans think differently about many things. You play music that has no practical purpose. You make art that does no work. You form friendships across species lines even when there is no profit in it. Perhaps this is another human strangeness I must accept. It was not full understanding, but it was something. Can you accept that I did what I thought was right? Doyen asked. I can accept that you believe it is right. I still think you wasted a valuable gift, but you are my friend. Friends do not always agree. Relief flooded through Doyen. Thank you, Velthus. That means everything to me. Will you still have dinner with me, or has this conversation ended our friendship? Of course I will have dinner with you. You are still my friend. This disagreement does not change that. They had dinner together in a small restaurant that served both human and Quilmari food. The conversation was a bit awkward at first, but slowly they found their rhythm again. They talked about trade routes, about politics, about a new Quilmari artist that Velthus admired. As they were leaving, Velthus stopped. Your Mirai, is she truly happy now? Truly better? Doyen thought about Mirai that morning, hesitantly asking if she could try making breakfast instead of him. Thought about her small smile when the eggs turned out well. She is getting there. It is a long road. But yes, she is better. Velthus made a sound that might have been acceptance or might have been doubt. I hope you are right, my friend. I truly do. When Doyen returned home, Mirai was awake, sitting by the window and looking at the stars. She turned when he entered. How did it go? She asked. Not how did it go, master. Just the question, direct and clear. He does not understand, but he is trying. We are still friends. Mirai looked relieved. This one was worried. I was too, Doyen admitted. But we talked honestly, and that helped. She turned back to the stars. This one thinks. Mirai thinks she understands now. People can be wrong but still be worth caring about. Everyone is learning. She had used her name. Not this one, her actual name. It was the best progress yet. Mirai started working 3 months after arriving on Haven's Gate. It was her choice. Doyen had explained that she did not need to work, that he would help her with whatever she needed, but she wanted to do something. She wanted to feel useful in a way that was hers. Hyunwoo ran the hydroponics bay where the station grew food. He was a quiet man in his 30s with patient hands and a gentle way of explaining things. When Mirai applied to work there, he interviewed her just like any other candidate. He asked about her skills and what she wanted to learn. He did not ask about her scars or her past. "You will start slow," he told her on her first day. "Learn the systems. Help with watering and harvesting. If you have questions, ask. If you make mistakes, tell me. We fix problems together here. Nobody gets punished for learning." That last part made Mirai's eyes water, but she nodded. She loved the work. The plants did not judge her. They did not care about her past. They just needed water, light, and care. When she did things right, they grew. It was simple and clear and good. One evening, she came home excited. Doyen had never seen her excited before. Hyunwoo says Mirai is doing well. She was using her name more often now, though sometimes she still slipped into this one when she was nervous. He says Mirai has good instincts with the plants. He wants to teach Mirai about the nutrient systems next week. "That is wonderful," Doyen said, smiling. "I am proud of you." She blushed and looked down. Compliments still made her uncomfortable, but she was getting better at accepting them. They sat down to dinner together. It had become their routine. They would talk about their days, share stories, exist as two people sharing a space instead of master and slave. These moments felt normal, and normal was a gift. "Doyen?" Mirai said quietly. She had stopped calling him master a month ago. "Can Mirai ask something?" Always. When Mirai was before, there were other humans in the same place. Some were from New Jeju like Mirai. Some were from other places. What happened to them? Doyen put down his fork. He had been waiting for this question. "I do not know. I have been searching records, but it is hard. The galaxy is big and slavery is legal in many places. Humans have no power to demand answers, so they are still slaves, while Mirai is free." Her voice was heavy with guilt. "It is not your fault, Mirai knows, but it feels wrong. Why did Mirai get saved when they did not?" It was a hard question, one Doyen had asked himself many times. Sometimes life is not fair. You got lucky because Velthus gave you to me instead of someone else. That does not mean you do not deserve freedom. It just means others deserve it too. Mirai was quiet for a moment. "There should be something we can do." "I have been thinking about that. I have been collecting information. But I am just one person. I do not have the authority to make big changes. What if we found the others? From New Jeju? What if we helped them like you helped Mirai? It would be difficult. And expensive. And legally complicated. But possible." Doyen looked at her determined face and felt something warm in his chest. This was not the broken woman from the cargo container. This was someone who had found enough strength to think beyond herself. "Maybe. Let me see what I can find out." Over the next 2 weeks, Doyen used every contact he had. He searched databases, called in favors, talked to people who knew people. What he found was worse than he expected. The record showed thousands of humans in slavery across dozens of alien civilizations. Some were criminals who sold themselves to pay debts. Some were workers who signed contracts they did not understand. But many, like Mirai, had been taken by force from frontier colonies that no one protected. The galaxy had laws, but those laws were complicated. Each species had different rules. What was illegal in human space might be perfectly fine in Quilmari territory. The Galactic Council tried to coordinate, but mostly they let each culture do what it wanted. Doyen was in his office reviewing these dark records when his terminal chimed. A priority message. He opened it and felt his blood turn cold. Captain Borak, a Vryn slaver. His message was simple and threatening. "Human Doyen, I sold a human female to Velthus 3 months ago. He gave her to you. By galactic law, if a gift is not wanted, the original seller has the right to reclaim the merchandise. I demand either the return of the human or payment of 3,000 credits. You have 5 days to respond." Doyen sat back, his mind racing. 3,000 credits was a huge amount. He did not have that much. Even if he did, paying would mean accepting Mirai as property, which he refused to do. But if he did not pay, Borak could come and try to take her. He needed help. He called G1 first. She listened to everything and then said, "I need to tell you something. I run a network. We help freed slaves hide and start new lives. It is not exactly legal, but it is necessary. If Borak comes, we can hide Mirai. I do not want her to hide. She should not have to hide, I know. But sometimes survival matters more than pride." Next, he called Taehyun, a human legal officer on the station. Taehyun had studied galactic law for years. He listened to the situation and frowned. Technically, Borak has a case. Under galactic trade law, gifts can be returned to the seller if rejected within 6 months. But there are complications. Velthis gave her to you freely. That changes the ownership chain. Also, Mirai is human and humans are recognized as sapient. There are clauses about sapient rights that might help. Might? The law is not clear. It would take a court case. That could take months. Maybe years, yet Borak said 5 days. Then we need to buy time. And we need to make sure Mirai is protected. That evening, Doyen told Mirai everything. She listened quietly, her face growing paler with each word. So he is coming for Mirai. He is going to try, but I will not let him take you. Doyen cannot fight a ship captain. Doyen could get hurt. I will not fight him with weapons. I will fight him with law. And with friends. You are not alone anymore, Mirai, neither am I. The next day, Doyen called Velthis. He explained the situation. There was a long silence on the other end. "This is my fault," Velthis said finally. "I bought her from Borak. I did not know there would be problems. You did not know I would free her. Neither did he. In Quilmari law, a gift truly given cannot be taken back. Once I gave her to you, she became yours. Borak has no claim. But he is Vryn. They do not always respect other species' laws. What should I do?" Velthis was quiet again. "Let me think. I have some influence. Perhaps I can help. But Doyen, you must understand, if this becomes a legal battle, it will expose what you did. Other slavers will know you freed her. They will see you as a threat. Let them. I am tired of being quiet about this. Mirai deserves freedom. So do all the others. You are very brave, my friend. Or very foolish. I am not sure which. Maybe both." 3 days later, Captain Borak arrived at Haven's Gate. He was a large Vryn, covered in dark green scales, with cold yellow eyes. He came with 2 guards and demanded to see Doyen. They met in a conference room with Taehyun present as legal counsel. Borak sat across from them, radiating anger. "Where is my property?" His voice was a low growl. "She is not your property," Doyen said calmly. "She is a free person. She is a slave I legally purchased and sold." The buyer gave her away. "That means I can reclaim her." Taehyun leaned forward. "Under Quilmari law, which governed the original transaction, a gift freely given cannot be reclaimed by a third party." Velthis gave her to Doyen without conditions. "You have no claim." "I do not care about Quilmari law. I am Vryn. We follow Vryn law." "But the transaction happened in Quilmari space," Taehyun countered. "That means Quilmari law applies." Borak's eyes narrowed. "You are hiding behind words. Give me the slave or give me 3,000 credits, or I will take her by force. If you try to take her by force, you will be breaking Haven's Gate Station law. This is human territory. Here, slavery is illegal. She is under our protection." The Vryn captain stood up, his full height towering over them. "This is not over, human. I will return with proper legal authority, and when I do, you will regret this." He left, his guards following. Doyen let out a long breath. "We bought some time. But he is right. He will come back with legal papers." "What do we do then?" Taehyun looked grim. "We need to find evidence that Borak obtained her illegally. If we can prove he raided New Jeju without authorization, his whole claim falls apart. How do we prove that? We investigate, we dig, we find the truth." Doyen looked out the window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, more humans suffered in slavery. Mirai had been one of them. Now she was free and in danger again because of that freedom. He thought about giving up, thought about how much easier it would be to just pay the credits or let her go back. Then he thought about Mirai's smile when she talked about her plants, thought about her saying her own name with pride, thought about all the others still in chains. No, he would not give up. This fight was bigger than one person now. It was about what humans believed, what they stood for. Freedom was not convenient, but it was right and he would fight for it. Captain Borak returned 6 days later with a small fleet and a stack of legal documents. He had gone to the Galactic Trade Council and gotten an enforcement order. According to the papers, either Mirai had to be returned to him, or Doyen had to pay 5,000 credits. The price had gone up. Doyen stood in the station commander's office with Taehyun reviewing the documents. Commander Park was a stern woman in her 50s who ran Haven's Gate with firm efficiency. She did not like this situation at all. "These papers are legitimate," she said grimly. "The Galactic Council has jurisdiction here in matters of interspecies trade. If we refuse to comply, they could shut down our trade routes. That would hurt thousands of colonies. So we just hand Mirai over?" Doyen felt sick saying it. "I did not say that. I am telling you what we are facing. Taehyun, is there any legal defense?" Taehyun spread out his own research on the desk. "Possibly. If we can prove that Borak acquired Mirai through illegal means, his ownership claim is void. But we need evidence, and we need it fast. The enforcement order gives us 3 days. 3 days. Doyen looked at the clock on the wall. Time was running out. That night, Jiwon called a meeting in a back room of her shop. Besides Doyen and Taehyun, there were 5 others. All humans. All part of her underground network. They had different jobs on the station, but they shared one goal: helping freed slaves. "We need to find proof that Borak raided New Jeju illegally," Jiwon explained. "That means finding witnesses, records, anything that shows he took people by force from a protected colony." A young man named Sung-ho spoke up. He worked in the station's data center. "I can search shipping records. If Borak's ship was near New Jeju 3 years ago, there will be a trail. But it will take time." "We have 3 days," Doyen said. "Then I will not sleep for 3 days." A woman named Yoonji, who worked in communications, raised her hand. "I have contacts on other stations. Some of them have dealt with Borak before. Maybe they know something. Contact everyone you can," Taehyun said. "We need testimonies, evidence, anything." They worked through the night. Doyen went home briefly to check on Mirai. He found her sitting by the window staring at nothing. "Mirai." She turned. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. Doyen should let Mirai go back to him. This is too much trouble. Too many people are at risk. No. Doyen could lose his job. The station could lose its trade routes. All because of Mirai. He sat down next to her. "This is not about you. Not anymore. This is about what is right. If we let Borak take you because it is easier, what does that say about us? What does it say about humanity? It says you are smart, that you know when to compromise. Some things you do not compromise on. Freedom is one of them." She looked at him with tears streaming down her face. "Why? Why does Doyen care so much? Mirai is just one person, one broken person. You are not broken. You are healing. And you are not just one person. You are the first. If we save you, if we prove that humans do not accept slavery, then we can save others. You are the beginning of something bigger." She wiped her eyes. "Mirai is scared. I am scared too. But we are not alone." The next morning, Sung-ho found something. He burst into Doyen's office with his tablet, his face excited despite obvious exhaustion. "I found it. Borak's ship, the Dark Prophet, was logged near New Jeju 3 years ago. But here is the important part. There is no record of a trade agreement. No permits, no legal documentation of any transaction. He was just there, and then he left, and then suddenly he had new slaves to sell. That proves he raided them," Doyen said. "It suggests it strongly, but we need more. We need someone who was there." That afternoon, Yoonji called with news. She had found another survivor from New Jeju. A man named Kiha who had escaped 2 years ago and was now living on a station 3 jumps away. She had contacted him. He was willing to testify. "But he cannot get here in 3 days, Yoonji said. The travel time alone is 4 days. Can he testify remotely? The Galactic Council usually does not accept remote testimony for enforcement orders. They want in-person witnesses." Another dead end. That evening, Doyen sat in his office feeling hopeless. They had evidence but not enough. They had witnesses but could not get them here in time. Borak had played this perfectly, using the system against them. His terminal chimed. "A call from Velthus, my friend," the Quilmari said. "I have been thinking about your problem. I may have a solution. I am listening. In Quilmari trade law, there is something called a challenge of acquisition. If someone claims to own property that was acquired illegally, another party can challenge that claim. The challenge suspends all enforcement orders until an investigation is completed. Hope sparked in Doyen's chest.
How do I file this challenge?
You do not. You are human. You have no standing in Quilmari law. But I do. I bought her from Borak. If his acquisition was illegal, then he defrauded me. I have the standing to challenge. Belthus, if you do this, it could hurt your business. Other traders might not trust you, perhaps. But you are my friend, and I have been thinking about what you said. About freedom. About rights. I do not fully understand it, but I understand that it matters to you. That matters to me. Doyen felt his throat tighten with emotion. Thank you, really, thank you. Do not thank me yet. This only buys time. You still need to prove Borak broke the law, but it gives you that time. Belthus filed the challenge the next morning. The enforcement order was suspended. Borak was furious, but there was nothing he could do. The Galactic Council had to investigate now. With the pressure off temporarily, Doyen and his team could work more carefully. Sungho dug deeper into records. Unji coordinated with Kiha, the survivor. Taehyun built their legal case piece by piece. 2 weeks later, they had enough. Shipping records that placed Borak near New Jeju with no legal permits. Testimony from Kiha describing the raid. Medical records from other survivors that matched injuries from weapon fire. Financial records showing Borak sold 15 humans right after the New Jeju incident. They presented everything to the Galactic Council. The hearing took place via hologram, with representatives from dozens of species watching. For the first time, Mirai spoke publicly. She stood in the center of the council chamber, surrounded by alien faces on screens, and told her story. She described the raid on New Jeju, the violence, the fear, the 3 years of slavery. She spoke clearly without crying, her voice steady and strong. Mirai is not property, she said. Mirai is a person. All the humans Captain Borak took are people. We have names. We have families. We have the right to choose our own lives. If the galaxy cannot recognize that, then the galaxy is wrong. When she finished, the chamber was silent. The council deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, the head counselor, a being from a species Doyen did not recognize, spoke. The evidence shows that Captain Borak acquired human captives through unauthorized force against a protected colony. This violates galactic raid protocols. His claim of ownership is void. The human called Mirai is declared free under council authority. Additionally, Captain Borak must face charges for illegal raiding. Doyen felt like he could breathe for the first time in weeks. Beside him, Mirai's legs gave out. He caught her and helped her to a chair. We won, she whispered. You won, he corrected. You stood up and told the truth. That is what changed their minds. Borak was arrested as he tried to leave Haven's Gate. His ship was impounded. The investigation into his activities would continue, and probably more evidence of his crimes would come out. But the victory felt incomplete. Yes, they had saved Mirai. Yes, they had stopped Borak. But there were still thousands of humans in slavery. The Galactic Council had freed one person, not a whole system. That night, Doyen and his team gathered at Jiwon's shop to celebrate. Mirai was there, looking exhausted but relieved. Hyunwoo had come too, bringing flowers from the hydroponics bay. To Mirai, Jiwon raised her glass, who proved that one voice can make a difference. They all drank. But as Doyen looked around the room, he saw that everyone was thinking the same thing he was. This was just the beginning. Mirai stood up. She looked nervous but determined. Mirai wants to say something. Mirai, I am free now, because all of you fought for me, but there are others. People from New Jeju, people from other colonies. They are still slaves. If we could save me, we can save them too. It will not be easy, Taehyun warned. We got lucky with Borak, other cases will be harder. I know, Mirai said, but we have to try. I have to try. I cannot be free while knowing others are not. Doyen looked at this young woman who had been so broken just months ago. She had been a slave, then a freed slave, and now she was becoming something more. An advocate, a voice for others. Then we try, he said. All of us. We find the others and we bring them home. Everyone in the room nodded. They knew it would be a long fight. They knew they would face opposition from species and cultures that saw nothing wrong with slavery. They knew the Galactic Council would resist pressure to change, but they also knew they had won once. And if they could win once, they could win again. Somewhere in the galaxy, other humans waited in chains, but now maybe they had reason to hope, because people were fighting for them and they would not stop. The video of Mirai's testimony went everywhere. Within days, it had spread across human space and beyond. She had spoken for only 10 minutes, but those 10 minutes changed everything. Humans who had lost family members to raids started contacting Haven's Gate. Colony governments that had stayed quiet began demanding answers. News networks ran stories about the thousands of humans in slavery. Politicians who had ignored the issue could no longer pretend it did not exist. Mirai became famous overnight. She hated it. "I just want to work with my plants," she told Doyen one evening. "I did not want to be a symbol, I know. But sometimes we become what people need, not what we want to be." She looked at the messages flooding her terminal. Requests for interviews, invitations to speak, stories from other survivors. There are so many. How can one person help all of them? You do not have to do it alone, and she did not. Within weeks, a network formed around her. Other freed slaves came forward with their stories. Human rights lawyers offered their services. Colony representatives created a coalition. Even some aliens joined the cause, species who had their own complicated histories with slavery. Jiwon took charge of organizing it all. She turned her underground network into something legal and powerful. They called it the Freedom Initiative. Its mission was simple: find enslaved humans and bring them home. The first success came 2 months after Mirai's testimony. They found 3 humans from a colony called New Busan, enslaved on a mining station in Vrin territory. Using the precedent from Borak's case, they filed challenges. They presented evidence. They fought through galactic courts. It took 4 months, but they won. 3 people came home. The second case was harder. A woman named Sora had been enslaved for 7 years. Her owner was a wealthy Quilmari merchant who treated her well but refused to free her. He argued that she was happy, that she had good food and shelter, that freedom would hurt her. This case forced Doyen to confront a difficult truth. Some slave owners genuinely believed they were being kind. They did not see themselves as evil. They saw themselves as responsible caretakers, but kindness without freedom was still slavery. Mirai volunteered to meet with Sora. The merchant agreed, thinking Mirai would confirm that slavery could be benevolent. Instead, Mirai sat down with Sora and told her story. She described being given clothes for the first time, making her first choice, speaking her own name with pride. "Do you feel happy?" Mirai asked Sora. "I feel safe," Sora answered carefully. "But do you feel alive?" Sora did not answer. She did not need to. Her eyes said everything. The merchant watched this conversation through a screen. When it ended, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said something Doyen had not expected. "I never thought about it that way. I thought I was being good to her. But maybe good is not enough." He freed Sora. No court case, no legal battle, just a change of heart. It was a small moment. One person among thousands. But it mattered. Not all cases ended well. Some they lost in court. Some slaves they found died before they could be rescued. Some owners fought back with violence. The work was hard and often heartbreaking, but they kept going. 6 months after the testimony, Doyen was promoted. The human government created a new position, Special Liaison for Sapient Rights. His job was to coordinate between the Freedom Initiative, galactic councils, and human colonies. It was overwhelming but important. Veldis became an unexpected ally. He started speaking to other Quilmari merchants about the issue, not demanding they free their slaves immediately, but asking them to think about what freedom meant. Some listened. Some got angry. But conversations were starting. "My people change slowly," Veldis told Doyen. "We are old and set in our ways, but your Mirai made me question things I never questioned before. That is worth something." Taehyun was appointed to the first interspecies court focused on sapient rights. He would help judge cases involving slavery, trafficking, and abuse across species lines. It was a small court with limited power, but it was a beginning. Hyunwoo expanded the hydroponics bay and hired more workers, including freed slaves who needed quiet work while they healed. The bay became a safe place full of green-growing things and patient people, and Mirai, she divided her time between working with the plants and helping other survivors. She was not a public speaker by nature, but she forced herself to do it when needed. She testified in courts. She met with politicians. She told her story over and over, even when it hurt. One day, a young woman arrived at Haven's Gate. Her name was Bora. She had been enslaved for 2 years and recently freed through the initiative's work. She was thin and scared and did not know how to exist as a free person. Mirai sat down with her in a quiet room. She understood everything Bora was feeling. The fear, the confusion, the guilt of being free when others were not. I know it is hard, Mirai said gently. I know freedom feels scarier than slavery sometimes. But you will learn. We will help you. Bora started crying. Why did they save me? There are others who suffered more. Who were slaves longer? Why me? Because you were the one we could reach. That does not make you less deserving. It makes you lucky. And now that you are free, you can help us save others. I do not know how. Neither did I. But I learned. You will too. Over the next weeks, Mirai helped Bora adjust. She took her shopping for clothes. She taught her to make choices. She showed her that mistakes were okay, that nobody would punish her for being human. It was like watching herself in a mirror, 6 months in the past. Seeing Bora heal helped Mirai realize how far she had come. She was not that broken woman in the cargo container anymore. She had become someone who could help others find their way. The movement grew. By the end of the first year, the Freedom Initiative had freed 47 humans. It was not enough. There were still thousands enslaved. But it was progress. Human governments were starting to take action too. They demanded the Galactic Council address the issue formally. They threatened to cut trade with species that allowed human slavery. They formed alliances with other species that opposed slavery. Not everyone supported this. Some colony administrators argued that making waves would hurt humanity's position in the galaxy. Some business leaders said that interfering with other cultures' practices was wrong. Some politicians worried about the cost. Doyen faced these critics with patience. Yes, this is difficult, he would say. Yes, it costs us money and comfort. But what is the alternative? We stay quiet while our people suffer? We accept slavery because challenging it is inconvenient. That is not who we are. That is not who we want to be. The debate raged across human space. News networks argued about it. Politicians fought over it. Regular people discussed it over dinner tables. But slowly the tide was turning. More and more humans agreed that slavery was wrong, that fighting against it was worth the cost, that humanity's values should not be compromised just to make aliens comfortable. One evening, Mirai gave a speech at a gathering of freed slaves and their supporters. It was held in Haven's Gate's main plaza. Hundreds of people attended, human and alien both. She stood on a small stage wearing simple clothes that she had chosen herself. She looked at the crowd and thought about the scared woman she used to be. That woman would never have been able to do this, but she was not that woman anymore. My name is Mirai, she began. A year ago, I did not own my own name. Someone else decided what I was called, what I wore, what I ate, where I went. I was property, then someone gave me clothes. Just simple clothes. Nothing expensive or special. But they were mine to choose. And that choice changed everything. Freedom is not one big thing. It is many small things. The choice of what to wear, where to work, who to talk to, what to believe. Every small choice builds into a life that belongs to you. There are still thousands of humans who cannot make those choices. They wait in darkness hoping someone remembers them. We remember them. We are fighting for them, and we will not stop until every human can choose their own life. The crowd stood and applauded. Some were crying. Others were cheering. Mirai saw Doyen in the front row smiling with pride. She saw Jiwon and Taehyun and Hyunwoo and all the others who had fought beside her. She also saw Bora, the woman she had been helping. Bora was clapping hard, tears streaming down her face. After the speech, an old woman approached Mirai. She had gray hair and wrinkled hands. My granddaughter was taken 8 years ago, from a colony raid. I never thought I would find her. But because of you, because of what you started, people are looking now. They found her. She is coming home next month. The woman hugged Mirai tightly. Thank you. Thank you for giving me hope. Mirai hugged her back and cried too. This was why she spoke even when it was hard. This was why she kept fighting even when she was tired. Because somewhere in the galaxy, a grandmother's granddaughter was coming home, because small victories added up to big changes. Because freedom was worth fighting for. Always. 3 years had passed since Veltis gave Doyun an unwanted gift. 3 years since a scared woman in rags sat in a cargo container, believing she was property. The galaxy had not transformed completely, but it had changed. Slowly, painfully, but undeniably. The Sapient Dignity Accord was the biggest achievement. 12 species had signed it, including humans and Quilmari. The Accord recognized that all sapient beings deserved basic rights, including freedom from slavery. It was not perfect. Enforcement was weak. Loopholes existed. Some species signed but did not follow through. But it existed, written down in official language that could be pointed to in courts. The Galactic Council still debated the issue. Some species argued that humans were imposing their values on everyone else. Some claimed that what humans called slavery was just different cultural practices. The arguments went in circles, but the fact that they were happening at all was progress. Doyen worked long hours in his position. He coordinated rescue efforts, negotiated with alien governments, and advised human colonies on how to protect their people. It was exhausting work that never truly ended. There was always another case, another person to save, another argument to win. But he had help now. The Freedom Initiative had grown into a real organization, with offices on dozens of stations. Hundreds of people worked for it. They rescued slaves, helped them heal, and fought for stronger protections. Taehyun's court had expanded. More judges were appointed, including some aliens who believed in sapient rights. They heard more cases and set more precedents. Justice was still slow, but it was coming. Veltas had become something unexpected, an activist in his own society. He gave speeches to Quilmari gatherings, wrote articles for their information networks, and used his wealth to support reforms. Many Quilmari criticized him. Some refused to do business with him. But others listened and began to change their minds. "My people are afraid," Veltas told Doyen during one of their regular calls. "Change is frightening. Our economy depends on slave labor. If we free everyone, what happens to our businesses? But I tell them what you taught me. There are some things more important than profit. It is a hard lesson for merchants to learn." Jiwon ran a rehabilitation center now, a real building with trained staff and resources. Freed slaves came there to heal, to learn skills, and to find their way in freedom. She had helped more than 200 people. Each one was a victory, and Mirai, she had grown into someone even she did not recognize from her past. She still worked in the hydroponics bay. The plants remained her peace, her meditation, her way of staying grounded. But she also ran the survivor support program at Jiwon's center. She met with newly freed people and helped them navigate the overwhelming world of choice and freedom. She had learned to be patient with their fear. She understood why they asked permission for everything, why they panicked when given options, why they sometimes wanted to go back to slavery because at least it was familiar. She had been all those things once. Now she was the person who gently guided others through the darkness, the same way Doyen had guided her. She was in a relationship with Hyunwoo. It had started slowly, carefully. Both of them had been nervous. Mireille had never had a relationship that was her choice before. Every step required trust and communication. But they built something real together, something equal, something that belonged to both of them. They did not live together. Mirai still needed her own space, her own place to retreat when the world became too much. Hyunwoo understood. He never pushed. They moved at the speed of her healing. Doyen visited the center often. Today he came because a new arrival needed help. A young woman named Isol had been freed after 6 years of slavery. She was curled in a corner of the common room, refusing to talk to anyone. "She reminds me of someone," Mirai said, watching Isol with sad, understanding eyes. "She reminds me of you," Doyen replied. 3 years ago, scared and broken and not believing that freedom was real. I was more broken than her. At least she looks at people. You were strong enough to heal. So is she." Mirai walked over to Isol slowly. She sat down on the floor nearby, not too close, giving the woman space. She did not say anything at first. She just sat there, present and patient. After a long silence, Isol spoke. "They say I am free, but I do not know what that means. I do not know how to be free." "Neither did I," Mirai said softly. "When I was first freed, someone told me I could choose my own clothes. I had a panic attack in the store. I cried because I did not know how to pick a shirt." Isol looked at her. Really? Freedom is scary. Slavery is terrible. But at least you always know what is expected. Freedom means you have to decide things. You have to figure out who you are. It is hard work. What if I cannot do it? You can. I did. Hundreds of others did. You are not alone. I feel alone. Mirai reached out slowly and touched Isol's hand. Just a light touch offering connection. You are not. We are all here. We have all been where you are, and we will help you find your way. Isul started crying. Mirai sat with her, not trying to fix anything, just being present. Sometimes presence was the most powerful gift. Later that day, Doyen and Mirai walked through Haven's Gate together. It was something they did regularly, just walking and talking like friends. The station had grown busier over the years. More species came here now. More trade happened. Haven's Gate had become known as a place where sapient rights were respected, which attracted people who valued such things. "Do you remember the first time we walked through the station together?" Doyen asked. "You wore that gray rag and walked behind me with your eyes down. People stared. I remember. I was terrified. I thought you would get tired of me and sell me to someone worse. And now?" Mirai smiled. "Now I walk beside you. I look people in the eyes. I choose my own clothes every morning. It still surprises me sometimes how far I have come." They reached the plaza where she had given her big speech a year ago. The plaza had a new statue now. It showed a figure breaking chains, reaching toward the stars. The dedication read, "To all who fight for freedom." "They wanted to make the statue look like you," Doyun said. "Did you know that?" I told them no. "This is not about me. It is about everyone. You started it. You started it. When you gave me clothes and told me I was free. When you refused to accept that I was property. You showed me that humans believe in something bigger than convenience or profit. That changed everything." They stood together in comfortable silence. So much had changed. So much remained to be done. The latest report showed there were still an estimated 3,000 humans in slavery across the galaxy. The Freedom Initiative was working on each case, but progress was slow. Some slave owners fought back violently. Some governments refused to cooperate. Some humans had been enslaved so long they no longer wanted freedom. But the work continued. Every freed person was a victory. Every changed law was progress. Every heart that opened to the idea of universal rights was a step forward. Mirai thought about Isul crying in the corner. She thought about Bora and Sora and the grandmother who got her granddaughter back. She thought about all the people still waiting in darkness, hoping someone would come. "We will save them," she said quietly. "All of them. However long it takes." "It will take a long time," Doyen warned. "Maybe longer than our lifetimes. Then we teach others to continue the work. We make sure the fight does not end with us." Doyen smiled. "When did you become so wise?" "When someone gave me the choice to become myself." That evening, Mirai returned to the center. Isul was still in the common room, but she had moved to a chair. Small progress. She was talking quietly with another survivor, a man who had been freed 6 months ago. He was telling her that it got easier, that she would laugh again someday, that life could be good. Mirai watched them and felt something warm in her chest. Hope. Not the desperate hope of a slave wishing for rescue, but the solid hope of someone who had seen change happen and knew it was possible. She thought about the girl she had been, the one who asked permission to breathe, the one who called herself this one because using her name felt too dangerous, the one who could not choose a shirt without crying. That girl was still part of her. The scars remained. She still had nightmares sometimes. She still felt moments of panic when someone raised their voice. Healing was not a straight line. Some days were harder than others, but she was more than her scars now. She was Mirai. She was a survivor. She was someone who helped others find their way from darkness to light. She was free. A new woman arrived at the center late that night. Her name was Hana. She was brought in by Freedom Initiative workers who had just rescued her from a ship. She wore rags. She would not look anyone in the eye. She asked permission to sit down. Mirai knew what to do. She had done it dozens of times now. She walked over slowly, keeping her movements gentle and predictable. "Hello," she said softly. "My name is Mirai. You are safe now. You are free, and we are going to help you believe it." Hana looked up with frightened eyes. "This one does not understand." "I know," Mirai said, sitting down carefully. "I said the same thing once. But you will understand. It takes time, but you will." She wrapped a soft blanket around Hana's shoulders. The woman flinched at first, then slowly relaxed into the warmth. It was a small thing. Just a blanket. But small things mattered.